really hope you enjoy this video. Subscribe, like, and click the bell to be notified of more fantastic music content just like this. Hello, welcome to the Need to Know Music Show with me, Ronan McManus, here on Switchbox TV. Today I'm joined by a Grammy-nominated Costa Rican star. She began playing music when she was 4, performing at age 17. She's also known for her great work in the campaign to end violence against women and other great causes that she gets behind. Please welcome Debi Nova. How are you doing?
Thank you. Good. Happy to be talking to you.
Yeah, you're joining us from a very sunny Costa Rica, I believe.
Yeah, I'm trying to move so that the sun is not in my face. But
I have the same. I have the same issue here in London. Yeah, we have the same problem. Trying to find the sun is really our issue. But yeah. So how are you? You good?
Good. I'm very happy. I mean, it's been a really strange year,
Yeah.
but within all the insanity and all the loss and pain, I've found really good spaces for myself to reflect. And I just got the news a couple weeks ago about the Grammy nominations, so it's been anything we can find to celebrate.
Yeah. They can't do any celebrating out and about, unfortunately. But fantastic. So you're nominated for the Grammys. That's going to be coming up next year. So wish you all the best with that, because that's. So what was it like when you heard the news?
Oh, it was crazy. I did not expect this. 5 days before was the Latin Grammys, and I got to perform at the Latin Grammys, and I was still kind of like recovering from that whole experience, and then I got the news, and it was surreal. What was crazy to me is Ricky Martin gave me my first job as a background singer 15 years ago, and to be nominated in the same category with him was really just pretty surreal. So yeah, I feel really grateful and really honored.
So it's this is all from your latest album, which I want to say 333. Was it Tres Treinta Tres? I don't know how you say.
Yeah, that's very good.
Very good. Okay, good stuff. So you got a couple of nominations in the Latin Grammys as well, didn't you?
Yes, we got nomination for Best Singer-Songwriter Album, Best Tropical Song with Quédate, which was the first single, and then Best Engineering. And the engineers won the award. So I was very happy for that. Yeah.
Fantastic. So then hopefully next year you can top it off by beating Ricky Martin to the Grammy, and then we'll see.
It feels like a hard thing. I mean, Bad Bunny and Ricky Martin, but I feel already like this is so winning, it's a wonderful way to finish this cycle of this album and hopefully start a new one very soon.
So what's the rest of the year been like? I presume like everybody else, you had plans ruined and kind of things sort of ground to a halt, I suppose. What sort of plans did you have that you had to change, and how did you innovate within the sort of COVID world this year? And where were you for the most of the lockdown?
Well, we were planning on releasing this album in May, which we did. And of course, we had a very different release planned. I was due to fly to Colombia and then to Mexico. And both of those trips were canceled. So I was going to do some showcases in both countries and launch my album from Mexico. Instead, I was in Costa Rica, here in a place called Tamarindo, which is by the sea. So it was actually not bad at all. Like I got to spend time with my husband, which I appreciated so much. And yeah, I mean, it was like the initial shock was really hard to cancel all the shows and all the promo plans, but it also brought me a new endeavor, which was launching a site for women for, it's an international site, but we started it here in Costa Rica, but it's open for women around the world. And I've been doing women's circles through the year where we talk about different subjects, and then I play music. So that's been my way to keep connecting, because I think it's so important for us to find those spaces,
Oh, fantastic! Sounds like something really, really positive. So that must have
Yeah,
been
it's
really. It
called
must have. Sorry, go on.
sorry,
Tell
sorry,
us.
it's called
Yeah.
Círculos 333. So like circles 333. In case anybody, is hearing this and is curious, círculos333.org.
Excellent. Right, we'll put a link to that in the description so people can go and check that out.
Awesome.
It sounds like something really positive to be getting your teeth into, because obviously this year, I think everybody's had to find new ways of doing things, and maybe it's given us a bit of space to try and find our own path. Did you do any kind of live stream gigs or anything like that?
Yeah, we did. The first 2 months I was doing a weekly Instagram live on Saturdays, and it was really cool because it felt like having a residency, which I used to do years ago in LA, where you have a space each week, so then you can dive into old material or really
Oh yeah.
obscure B-sides that you never get to play. And I think by the end of the first month, I started to get used to the no clapping and the like
That's a bit
emoji,
weird.
you know.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And then we did a launch for the album which is still on YouTube. At the end of July, we did like a release stream and that's been my only concert so far.
It's a bit of a strange thing to get used to, isn't it? This sort of, because it doesn't matter how many people are on. It's that many. It's all a gig for one person, really, isn't it? Because everyone's watching it pretty much on their own. So it's a
Yeah.
strange thing, but it's nice. You see, I always get distracted when I end up reading the comments too much, and I find myself getting distracted, especially during
I
the
forgot my
song.
lyrics a couple of times.
That's the classic, yeah. And then the people start talking to each other, and it's really nice. Actually, I found it really nice when I first started doing them. I did the same thing. I did a weekly thing, and it was you find the same people coming back, and they're sort of chatting to each other, and you get all these kind of different requests. It was
Yeah.
quite nice, but it wasn't quite the same as a live gig.
No, it's hard to replace that energy, that gets created in the moment with an audience and your musicians. I mean, it's a different thing. But yeah, I guess for what we did have our options, it was it was good. It was nice, and looking at the positive side of it, I always say it's like, imagine in a theater everybody talking to you while you're on stage. So like people actually got to talk to us, right? So I guess it had its good things.
Absolutely. And what would a normal sort of year be for you? Would it be a lot of traveling, a lot of shows? Is that kind of, so was that normally what would it be like? So this was a big, massive difference, massive shock to you.
Massive difference. I mean, this is the first time in 13 years that I'm with my husband this long. It's been really nice actually. But usually I'm traveling every month. Luckily, because it's been really good. It's been good work, and like this world of music is so unexpected. So when you do get a gig, you just you jump on the opportunity, and it's been like that for me for the last 10 years since I released my first album. So this year was definitely very different, and like I said, I appreciated it. Give me time to reflect and to take perspective on what I do, and also to get back to the essence of what I do. Like, why is music so powerful? Why do I do this? Why do I love it so much? What's the purpose of it? And so that's been really nice. I've been writing a lot as well.
I was going to say, yeah, I think there's going to be a lot of interesting 2021 music coming out of this. And has it changed? This year, when you're saying the reflection on how has it changed you as an artist, do you think, going forward?
I feel like I've let go of expectations. Like, I think the nature of what happened to us, which basically let us realize that we're not in charge of anything here. We're
Mm.
just kind of like at the mercy of nature and God, and I think that's been really powerful because if I look back, I think I've been very kind of like, which is, it's very driven and very like, almost nervous when I'm making music. And I think this year was just kind of like, I just let go, and I was just happy to be in good health and my family in good health, you know, and I think that's also why I got the nomination, you know, the irony of that, because I truly just, you know, I don't know, I'm doing this for the love of it. Like I kind of let go of the expectations of big success and on all that. And I have to thank that to this year. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's also, I think there's a kind of next year, looking at next year, you know, what's going to be great, expecting artists and audience just to be so grateful that live music is happening when it does happen, if all goes well, obviously. You sort of feel like the gigs are going to be, there's going to be an extra excitement when everything returns. You must be looking forward to that.
Yes, very much so. I think it's going to be extra emotional and special. And you know, they keep asking me in interviews, so when do you think? And I'm like, I don't know. I hope soon, but nobody knows. I'm hoping that, you know, by the summer of next year, we'll be able to see each other's faces again, but we'll see.
Yeah, I think there's going to be just as much excitement from audience members as there is from artists, and I think that you know, we're all kind of hanging out for that, and for the moment, we're kind of getting as much music therapy as we can, grabbing any kind of live interaction anywhere possible. But there's nothing like that feeling of being on stage and the audience being there, and you know, that's going to be really exciting. Hopefully, whenever that comes back. So I'm not going to ask you that question of when. just how you are looking forward to it. So
yeah.
But I wanted to talk about your extraordinary childhood of starting playing when you were 4 years old. Tell us a little bit about that. I mean, what sort of music were you listening to then? What sort of influences? Was it a musical family? How did it all kind of music come into your life?
Yeah, I have to thank my mother for that, because she saw my interest in music. My brother is 9 years older than me, and they had given him a little Casio keyboard for his birthday, and I was the one that ended up playing it. And I remember I used to play along with the cartoons, the music, you know, like the Smurfs, like the Smurfs and the cartoons. I used to play along and just by ear, you know, managed to play the melody. And so my mom got me into lessons very, very early at 4 years old. And that's how it all began. And in my house, we listened to a lot of different things, but my mom loved bossa nova and Brazilian music a lot. And then my brother and sister, they were, you know, teenagers as I was growing up. So I listened to whatever was, you know, whatever was in the radio, they were listening to in my house. My brother more on the rock side and my sister more on the pop side. So yeah, it was a very eclectic mix.
So it's kind of all gone, it's all coming into your young ears at that stage. You're going to listen to all this stuff, and it's all kind of, so you were started to perform when you were 14 or so, it said. So what sort of gigs were they? What sort of settings were they in?
So my first real job, or I guess not job, but like my first real gig was as a background singer for a very loved rock band here in Costa Rica, which they're still around. They're called Gandhi, and they play like old classic rock. So
right, yeah.
My first big gig was actually singing backgrounds with them, and we opened for Deep Purple. That was like my first. So you can imagine the type of music it was, you know. Yeah. And I remember like bikers and like all these
bad haircuts, the mullet haircuts and all that stuff. Brilliant.
Totally. So that was my first exposure to being on a stage and you know, doing it for real, right?
What age were you then?
What
age were you at that point?
I was this was like 15, 16, 17. So it was.
So what was that like? What was that like? The excitement of being on the stage?
Oh, it was amazing. It was, I don't know if there's any cooler feeling as a teenager that you're like, I'm with a band, you know, and and all dudes, like all guys, and then here I was, like this 15-year-old And I remember particularly that concert with Deep Purple, that I was backstage, I think, oh my God, I don't remember who of the Deep Purple band, maybe Roger Glover. Like, it was one of like this iconic, you know, rock stars. And he was asking me, and all of a sudden I got asked for an autograph. I got asked for an autograph. And that was my first autograph I ever gave in my life. So
wow.
it was amazing. It was amazing. I definitely, I have that in a very special part of my memory. Yeah.
Yeah, excellent. And so when you moved to LA, quite young as well. So
Yes.
was it sort of, so what was the journey from that very first gig to making that decision to move?
So as I was playing with Gandhi, I was also going to a music school here in San Jose in Costa Rica. And my teacher had studied with a voice teacher in Los Angeles. And she always talked about her. And I kind of just, I don't know, you know, these big decisions you take in your life, how you almost don't have to think about them. It's just kind of like the road opens up. And so the opportunity opened up for me to study with this teacher. She had just opened a vocal department in Los Angeles Music Academy. And they were taking students for the first time, vocal students. And so um, obviously I had to convince my parents, you know,
How
and
did you
get
do
through
that?
all that.
How
I'm
did you
gonna
do
go to
that?
LA to be a singer, Mom. Uh, well, my mom was happy, not so much. But I did. I moved at 17, right after high school. I studied with Kevin Letta, that's her name. And I was gigging. I was gigging with a band of Latinos in Los Angeles and trying to make ends meet. I mean, it was really, really hard. But I did it. I did it, and I never left. I'm still part-time living in LA.
You worked with some amazing people over the years, or in those early years. I mean, looking at the names that you worked with. I mean, Ricky Martin, Britney Spears. Looking at, God, who else would you on that list? Mark Ronson. That's not so early, but I mean, it's amazing. What was it like working with these sorts of people? I mean, you must have learned so much from these
So much.
guys.
Yeah, it was really wild those first years in LA. I think it was, so I moved in 98 to LA, and I think by 2002 I had met this manager that was also managing Mark Ronson, and so that's how I connected with Mark.
Ah,
And Mark hadn't really blown up at the time. You know, he was just starting as well. We worked together on his first album, Here Comes the Fuzz. Um, and then he was also working with Sean Paul, and that's how I met Sean Paul. And so I wrote a song with Sean Paul. And so, you know, that's how LA is, or I don't know, that's how the music world is. It's like you meet someone and that someone takes you
yeah,
to it.
yeah,
So yeah, over the years I've met these amazing teachers. I think they've definitely been my teachers. It's like going to school for sure.
yeah. So it must have been amazing. I mean, what sort of so what was the first sort of big break that you had then?
You know, it's
What was the moment that you thought I've landed, I've this is something? What was the was
I
there a
still don't.
moment? You still don't think that?
This has been such a hard journey, you know, like with so many big falls, that I'm still just so grateful that I get to do this every day. But I think for me, because see, here's the big lesson that life gave me. When I signed my first record deal, I was 21, and I was such a brat, you know. It was just like I didn't appreciate it as much as I should have. But that's the moment I was like, okay, I made it. You know, they gave me a check, and I was like writing music, and then 3 years later, I was dropped from that deal, and like 70 songs that I recorded on that deal never came out.
Wow.
So that was like my big first lesson in the music business, and I think that's when I became an adult. Like
Yeah.
that's when
Well, I mean,
life gave.
to be fair to you, I mean, to be fair to you, you've started playing music. You've ended up on stage with Deep Purple. You've then been sort of headhunted to go to LA. You signed a record deal. I mean, that seems too easy, doesn't it? It would be, maybe you wouldn't be, you would be forgiven for getting a bit carried away at that stage, being so young. And this is just all happening for you. It's an amazing experience. You still have all that experience though. You still all that songwriting, all your time working with that label for those 3 years. That's still valid experience. That still goes into making you who you are, doesn't it? So
Absolutely.
So how did you move on from being dropped? What was the next sort of thing that you put your mind to? It must have been hard to pick yourself up at that point.
That was really hard. I was 24 at the time, and it really felt like my whole world had collapsed. I didn't know what to do. I decided I was going to go to school. So I went to meet with an advisor at UCLA, and I mean, this was a hard time in my life. I remember I had to sell my piano because I couldn't afford rent. So it was like last resort,
Oh,
and the reason I went to UCLA is because I called my grandfather and I asked him for help. And he said, the only way I'm going to help you is if you go back to school. And so the next day I was, talking to an advisor at UCLA, but here's how crazy life works. When I got home back from that appointment at UCLA, I had a message from this old friend of mine telling me that Ricky Martin was at the studio and that they needed a singer to sing this background part in Spanish. So that's the day I met Ricky, and I ended up going on tour with him. And so I never went to school.
You're meant to be going back to school. You're meant to be going back to school at this point. You ended up on tour. That's brilliant. Yeah. Maybe you needed to. Maybe the gods needed you to like be serious about doing something else, and they went, actually, no, you are meant to do this.
Yeah, I always tell Ricky, I think he was one of my angels in my life, because I just remember being on stage with him and thinking, I don't want to do anything else in my life. Like, this is what I want to do. And that was, I was 25 years old. I was on tour with him. And then after that, it just never stopped. I just kept writing music and collaborating, and so that was very
worked hard at it from there. It's a good thing to, part of this show is set up for up and coming musicians to give them a platform. We like to get people on to tell their story about how they kind of got through, because it can be hard those times trying to move up in your early years, and that's a really good positive and important lesson, that you kind of had this deal and this seemingly perfect thing handed to you, and then to be dropped from that, but then to come back, you must have, I would imagine you were much more grateful the second time around to have that opportunity. You maybe worked a bit harder, and maybe you needed that first disappointment to focus you a bit, to say, okay, you're going to have to work at this a bit more, and to think, well, I'm not going to let this go now. The fact you said it never stopped since then, I'm sure a big part of that was you not letting it go since then.
Yeah, I'll tell you another part of my story, which someday I'm going to write a book about this, because it's crazy. But I was signed again. I got signed again by Island Def Jam after Ricky's tour, and they dropped me again 3 months later. And it had nothing to do with me. They dropped Lady Gaga. It was like they were doing like all these things, and rearrangements, and they dropped me again. And that was the moment that I had to like face my fears. And I was like, okay, clearly it's not going to be a label that's going to get me there. And so I took it alone, and I started working on my first album. And so that's how I started as a solo artist.
You self-funded.
Yeah.
And then you had all the control that goes with that, which is very important. That's kind of the way things have to be done now, I suppose. There aren't really many of those record deals going around these days anyway. So you kind of did then that's kind of very modern music business thing to do, isn't it? To be self-funded and and to be a DIY musician, you know, kind of doing it all yourself.
Oh my God, yeah, it's such a different landscape now. And I tell young people, like, right now you have all the tools. I mean, we didn't have social media back then. You know, if it wasn't with a record label, it was really hard to
Yeah.
find those avenues. But now you are a creator 24/7. Like, you get to create your public persona, you get to create your videos, your audio, like everything. I mean, it's such a great time for young musicians, you know, and it's
Yeah.
also cheaper to make music now.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and it's also, but it is also harder to find audience as well. It does come with that other sort of
Yes.
side to it, that it's a bigger market because everybody can kind of do their own thing now. But so, did you have a team of people around you, or do you have anybody that was kind of around you helping you to push this through? Because this seems like it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? That to have all the control and everything, you doing it all yourself, and you've got a loan, so you've got the funding to do it. But did you have people with you that were helping you along the journey? Because it can be a very lonely path otherwise.
Absolutely. I mean, I couldn't have done it by myself. And I've had the blessing to work with amazing, well, musicians and producers and managers. I mean, um, and right now I work with an amazing label. I mean, I have so much to thank. I just feel so grateful. And yeah, it's super important to find people around that believe in you and that, you know, hold your hand through this.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you've maybe had your share of bad luck at the start, and maybe
Yeah.
maybe you deserve it now. You deserve it. You've had your share of badness.
But you know what? I think it's part of life. Like, I think you're always gonna fall, right? I mean,
Yeah,
I think it's even people that seem to have overnight success. I mean, they've worked hard. Like, I think it doesn't
absolutely.
come easy. It doesn't come easy.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, what's your sort of writing? Have you always written in the same sort of way? Do you write with other people? Do you write better off writing alone? What's your process? How do you sort of do you sit down to write a song on certain days, or just wait till they come to you? How do you kind of work?
It's so different each time. And I mean,
Yeah,
my last album, I did a lot of it alone. Um, a lot of it here in this piano, you know, or with my guitar. And I'm not a super prolific writer, like, you know, like some writers that do an album a year. I mean, it takes me a while. I do give it space, you know, when it's not flowing, I don't push it. Um, but I don't know, for this album I've been writing a lot with other people, and I think it's mainly because we've been so isolated this year.
yeah,
I crave being around people, and I crave, even if it's virtually, like being around other writers and creating together. So we'll see. I think this next album might have a lot of collaborations. Yeah.
and the studio sort of process. They're really well produced. This album, it's really some beautiful arrangements on there. How do you do you enjoy the studio process? Is that something you look forward to?
It's my favorite. It's my favorite.
Ah,
And this album we did in a really beautiful studio in Mexico. It's like 40 minutes away from Mexico City. And it's just a very special place. It's in the middle of a pine forest. And um, it's a house where you sleep, you know, and you wake up and then you make music. I mean, it's so magical. And the producer is fantastic. I'm such a fan, and I'm definitely going to work with him again. I've already, you know, made arrangements to go see him in January. He's Colombian. His name is Juan Pablo Vega. And check out his music, because he's also a brilliant artist, singer songwriter himself. And so yeah, it was just like it clicked, you know. We have very, very similar music sensibilities. So it was really fun to work with him.
excellent. That's what you want, isn't it? You go to work, go to work every day and just enjoy being there and just really feel like you're working with people that get what you do, and that's a big part of it. It's a very important thing to find the right producer. So yeah, fantastic. What would you say would be your highlight of your career so far, apart from obviously we've talked about the Deep Purple gig, that being a massive thing. Is there another moment? We're going to take that as a given because that was your first eye-opening experience of falling in love with live music. But what other moments do you look back and think that things you're really proud of that you've done?
Well, definitely. I mean, it's recent, but performing at the Latin Grammys was big. Like, it just felt very charged, and also because of the moment we're in, and being able to play my song on that stage was just such an honor and so much adrenaline, like just 5 minutes of like, I don't know what happened, it was just very, very, very exciting. So I would say that was really big for me. I got to represent Costa Rica in the Central American Olympics about 7 years ago in our national stadium. And that was a stadium that my dad used to, take me to watch soccer because he's a big soccer fan. Do you guys call it soccer or football?
We got to call it football, yeah.
Okay, football. Yeah, we do too. So to be singing in that big stadium representing Costa Rica, it was opening night for the Olympics, the Central American Olympics, and that was a really beautiful moment as well. Yeah, and yeah. There's been a lot. There's been a lot of really beautiful moments.
I support Everton, so we have Brian Oviedo used to play for Everton. There's a big Costa Rican footballer. So he's a big fan favorite at Everton. Brian Oviedo.
Brian Oviedo, yes.
So he's a big Everton fan favorite.
Okay.
So he's a big. So he was an ex-player now, but yeah. But you've got a picture of you in the shirts. You played a bit of football.
That's all fake. Don't believe any.
Oh, I was looking forward to hearing about your football career now.
No. I was very sore after that one game I played. That was a thing we did for MTV back in the day. But no, I'm terrible at sports.
I assumed it was some sort of charity event or something you were doing.
Yeah, it was a charity event, and my legs were on fire for a week after that. But I do enjoy watching it. Here Costa Rica is a big football country, and we had a really good World Cup. When was it? Like in
2014, Brazil. Was it Brazil?
Yes. No.
Yes, in England's group. But I think.
Yes.
I mean, I'm Irish descent, so I was there. I was in Brazil. I got to go with my little brother Rory. We went over and did some gigs during the World Cup. It was fantastic, absolutely fantastic. I think we were there we missed the first game, so I think we were there for the Uruguay game and Italy game, I think, but we missed the Costa Rica game. But that was all.
Yeah, that was a big one for us.
Yeah, but it wasn't so good for England.
No.
We also there's a dream gig question now. This one, a dream gig. So you're on first. This is fantasy concert. So you're on first. There's someone on after you, and somebody is headlining. They can be anybody from history. Who do you choose? So you're on first. Somebody after you, and somebody's headlining. Who is it going to be?
Oh my God, that's so exciting. I don't even know where to start. I would say it's going to be a women lineup because why not? Yeah. So
absolutely.
Okay, let me think about this. Is big. I'm gonna say, you know what? I'm gonna. This is gonna be women with pianos. That's gonna be the theme.
Yes.
And so
I like how you're thinking about promoting this gig already. I like that. Women with pianos.
Yeah, so I think it's gonna be either Regina Spektor or Sarah Bareilles or both, and then Alicia Keys. I think that's
Alicia Keys is
and
amazing.
and Nina Simone, if we can bring her from the other world, right? I mean,
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Well, you've just got four there, and when you only had two places, they're playing together, dueling pianos.
It's gonna be a piano fight. Wait, a piano battle.
Piano battle. I like it. But that would sell. That would sell easy. You could have any size stadium that's going to sell out.
I think so.
Fantastic.
2021.
Well,
March 2021.
yeah, when this is going to happen.
Yeah.
I said I wouldn't ask, but this is too good. We always ask for recommendation on the show as well. So I know you've already put a couple of recommendations in already, and we will put the links to those people in the description. But we always like to ask for somebody that people need to know about that they may not know. So maybe if there's someone Costa Rican you want to give a bit of promotion to, or somebody who has inspired you over the years.
Yeah, so definitely Juan Pablo Vega, who I mentioned earlier, who produced my last album and is amazing. There is one new artist, he's somewhat new from Costa Rica, that I'd like to mention as well, because I think his new album is it's such a beautiful picture of kind of what Costa Rica sounds like. It tells a story about being an immigrant, a Nicaraguan immigrant in Costa Rica, which is a lot of our reality here. His name is Patiño, and his album is Paquita Linda, I think, and I can write that in the chart before I say goodbye.
No worries.
Yeah, so that would be a Costa Rican album from this year that I would recommend.
Lovely.
And who else? I mean, she's huge, so I don't have to recommend her a lot, but she is someone that has broken a lot of barriers for us female Latin singer-songwriters in the last few years, Natalia Lafourcade. And there's one album of hers that I just think is so beautiful. It's called Hasta la Raíz, which was her big album that sort of took her, around the world. And so I think, those would be my three recommendations.
Excellent. Well, we'll put links to all them in there, and also links to your music too. And what's the best social media for people to keep in touch with what you're doing?
Instagram is the one I update the most, and you can find me as at Debi Nova, just the way my name is spelled, DebiNova.
Excellent. And I also wanted to quickly give you a chance to talk about the social issues you've been involved with, and just give a little bit of a promotion to some of those causes you've got behind, because you've been very vocal, and also you've been doing lots of campaigning in person and everything. It's fantastic. You're using the platform to promote fantastic causes. So I'd like to give you a chance to give a little bit of promotion to some of those causes.
Yeah, I mean, in the course of my career, I've been able to participate in a few campaigns that are very dear to my heart. One that I've worked with for many years is Únete, or Unite, which is a UN campaign to end violence against women and girls. And as a Latin woman, I think it's my responsibility, because it's a big issue here in Latin America. I mean, it really is a big issue around the world, but the numbers here in Latin America are crazy, especially in Central America. And it is a problem that affects us all, not just the women that are, the victims. It affects us all, because it weakens society, it weakens communities. And so I think it's good to speak out about it, to break out from the cycle of violence. And the only way to do that is if we speak out. So So yeah, I encourage everyone also to check out that site that I mentioned earlier, circulos333.org, because we do create a lot of spaces for women, and you know, I know that throughout the year we've gotten some women that are going through some kind of abuse, and we've been able to at least make them feel like they're not alone. So for anyone interested, the site is totally free, and we are planning some really nice things for the new year.
Fantastic. It's a very important message and a very important space for to have an option for people to have, because 2020, you know, lockdown can be a very, very bad place for a lot of people. And that kind of, that, you know, it's never been as important, I suppose, in history than it is this year. It's maybe been a particularly important thing to have. So thank you for all of that. And I'm sure there'll be lots of people who will want to share those across their social media and really get that out there. So yeah, congratulations on everything you're doing for that, because it's really a fantastic cause. I just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. And good luck with the Grammy for next year. We'll all be crossing our fingers and everything for you for next year.
Thank you.
And Ricky Martin doesn't need anything more. He's done enough.
I know, but then there's Bad Bunny, who's like #1 in the world right now. So I'm like, I don't know. But you know what? I feel like, I mean, I feel so grateful. And yeah, it's right now we just have to go one day at a time. I think that's the big lesson of 2020. And I so appreciate the space and the talk. It's been wonderful. And I'm sending you a lot of sunshine from Costa Rica all the way to England.
Please send it quicker. I feel like it's going to take a while to get here, but thank you very much. So listen, thank you so much. Good luck with the Grammy, and I look forward to hearing the new music that you've been writing now coming out next year at some point, and hopefully you can get back on the stage sooner rather than later.
Thank you. Happy holidays.